Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Dice Tower. My name is Zee Garcia.
And I'm Camilla.
Today we're taking a look at Joyride here, Survival of the Fastest. This is a racing game in which you are going to be rolling dice, managing those dice, trying to go around a track, usually doing multiple laps, trying to be the first one to come through. There's going to be a lot of collisions in it. There's going to be a lot of spinning out, a lot of weaponry that you can unleash upon your opponents, all sorts of things, as well as various cars with various special abilities. Let's go ahead and take a look at the game on the table. I'll show you kind of an overview of how a turn or a scenario is going to go. We'll come on back. We'll tell you what we think of it. So here we've got one of the scenarios for the game set up and ready to begin. We're looking at 3 players over here near the starting line. And the scenario tells us that our objective is to cross 1 over there, cross 2 between these 2 locations, and then come back through this line, and then do it again for a second lap. And it doesn't matter which way you cross these things, by the way. We all begin facing this way, but after that, you can do whatever you want. If you want to cross that one line this way or that way, it doesn't matter. In fact, you could even touch the line and then back up and go a different way. Same thing for 2, same thing for here. Complete 2 laps first, and you win. So here is my player board. Everybody's going to have one of these that represents them and their vehicle. This is my vehicle here. We did a little setting up, and so I am ready to begin. This initiative track tells you the order in which the players go. So I am going to start. I begin with some dice already here in my rear view, and we're going to be following the breakdown here for the turn sequence. I'm going to talk you through this, okay? And I'm just putting my dashboard there so that you can see it, and I'll have this out here as well. So the very first thing is the start doesn't normally do anything unless some pickup or something says you need to deal with it at the start of your turn. It says basically your usable dice need to be right here on your mirror. Next step is locking, okay? And you can choose however many dice you want to lock, and you're going to move that distance. So, for example, if I want to lock a single die that has a 2 on it, I will move forward 2, like so. If I want to lock none, I can do that. If I want to lock both of these, I can do that. In the game, you're going to be taking damage, and any damage you take, you have to assign to something, and so it's possible that some of my locked dice locations will be damaged, therefore unusable to me. You could also damage your gears, meaning you cannot have this many dice, or you can damage these pickup locations, meaning you do not get goodies off of the track. You don't get any pickups. And so for now, let's say I lock both of these. I can also steer right now, but I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to just move ahead. In fact, I'm only locking 1 and moving ahead. 1, 2. That is the lock step. Next comes the shift step, where I may stay where I am, not shift. I can shift up or I can shift down. I can also do an engine brake, which means -2 gear if I really need to slow down, but that means I take some damage, okay? And so let's say I'm going to go up. I'm going to shift up. I take the little gear stick there and move it up. I get an extra die, and I am going to now roll all the remaining dice. Because I added one, I need a new one. I grab this one, and I roll that. And this is what I got. I got a 3 and a 1. These dice are 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. So it's a D3 basically. And I am going to now, if I did not steer during the lock step, I may steer during the roll step, which I didn't, so I will do that. And so I'm going to move this way. And you can steer basically, I can keep going forward, I can go this way, or I can go this way like that. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, like so. That is my new dice. And then at the end of the turn, I take all the dice that were in lock and I move them over to the mirror without changing them. Those are my dice for next turn. Then the other players will go and they'll move ahead. They'll do whatever they're doing, shift up or shift down. There's a couple of special spots over here on the gear. If you are in first gear, you may move backwards. That's what the R is for reverse. And if you are in second gear, you can steer both times during your lock step and during your roll step. For the other ones, you can only steer one of those 2 times. So there you go. If you hit anything head on, you are going to drop down to the first gear. You basically drop out of all the gears, actually, and you take some damage. And then there's a lot of collision rules for the different things that may happen to you. So they're on the back of your player right here. If you smash, you remove all the dice, you begin in gear 0 next time. There's side-swiping cars. So, for example, if this car is moving ahead, they would push this one like that until they're basically fully out of the way. You can also, if you hit someone from behind, you are going to push them along and you halve your speed. If you hit them from the front, it is a head-on collision, and they both go to 0 and take damage unless the player being pushed decides to treat it as being pushed from the back of the vehicle. They take their foot off the brake, take their foot off the gas, half the speed of this one, and they kind of get pushed along. And like I said, being spun around, all that stuff happens no matter, where you're being hit from. So that's how the collisions work out. Side-swiping, rear-ending. A pile-up is if there's a collision with a barrier. You get pushed. Let's see if I can show you this. Like that, and you get pushed. This car's going this way. I push you in there. And then I keep pushing, there's a collision here, and this collides with this one, right? So that is a pile up. There's a few different things you have to decipher kind of how those things work out, but that is the general idea. Besides that, every car is going to have some special abilities. Now, these are the basic 3 abilities, and you can play with everyone having the same ones: Gear Master, Handbrake Turn, and Precision Driving. Or every car has their own special 3. If you want to be a little bit more distinct, then you can play with those 3, and they'll be their own combination of things, right? Strange, unique abilities. Whenever you use one of these, it tells you when you may use it across the bottom. You're going to flip it, like this, face down to know that you do not have it. When you cross these locations, if you're the very first one to go through, say 1 up there, then you don't get any of these back. The second player gets 1 of them back. The third player can take 2 of them back, okay? Besides that, if they have this question mark here, you get a pickup. And the pickup is a tile that you will take and you will put on one of these, and it'll do various things. It could be rockets. You can fire a rocket ahead. It can be an oil spill. You leave, and if anybody runs into it, their car sort of spins out. There's a few different things like that. And again, only if this is set up like this, and this is based on the scenario, is there going to be a pickup. If it's set up like this, there's no pickup there. That's pretty much it. This board is set up differently based on what the scenario says. Some of these are removable so that you can, set it up however you need to, and you are trying to basically come in first, avoiding taking too much damage so your car isn't waddling along, and try to win the whole thing. One final thing I want to mention is the initiative here. After everyone has gone, we will readjust the initiative based on whoever is in the highest gear. And if there's a tie for that, then keep your relative position. So I'm in 3rd gear, 2nd gear, 3rd gear. Then this one will move up there, but we keep our relative positions. So there you go. That should be enough to give you an idea of what's going on in the game. Let's go ahead and go back up top. All right, so Joyride here. I tend to be a fan of racing games in general anyway, and I think this is one that brings a really cool theme to the table. I love the kind of Mad Maxian, post-apocalyptic-ish wreck fest kind of feel.
Demolition Derby.
Yeah,
I grew up going to county
feel.
fair with the demo derbies, and I find them very exciting.
Yeah, it has
them.
It has a little bit of that feel. This isn't a demolition derby per se.
But it happens.
But it happens, right? It's part of it. Your cars do decay, break down. You're definitely running into each other.
Yeah.
You're definitely going to be at some point running into a wall and having to boop, boop, back up and come out of there. And
Well, and you're using those collisions to your advantage at some time
Right.
as well. Sometimes someone hits you and it's bad, but sometimes they push you along a little forward, or sometimes they turn you just right, because of the roll, and they're like, I wanted to stop one short, but they go too far, and then just, boop, put you right in line to go through the finish line or whatever checkpoint. So they're not always bad, which I find interesting.
I think, I mean, I'll go out and say it right now. I think the strongest point in this game is that unexpected sort of volatile nature.
Yeah.
That, I think, is the best part of the game. It fits the theme really well. You're not quite sure what's going to happen with these vehicles. You're sort of unreliable. And you start driving that way. You're going to end up facing that way, stuck in a corner you weren't meaning to go to. It's going to happen. I like that.
Right. And I think it's balanced really well as well with the open nature, almost an open world feel, of the map, where you have to go to certain checkpoints. I won't even say through, because as long as you touch that line, then it counts. So you have to do them all, and you have to do them in order. But the way you go through, what path you take, if you touch it and bounce back off in reverse, something like that. So I think that also couples really well, just again, that open world kind of feel or nature of it with what you were talking about.
Right. So the game has a really cool look. It has a really cool kind of flavor. With that come neat weaponry, of which I like most of them. I thought the oil spill is a little lackluster. It ends up kind of just helping a lot.
Yeah, you can.
People use it as a free turn.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really function as I'm going to mess you up and make you spin out kind of feel.
Right, unless they get stuck in like a little alleyway with it and it ends up causing a smash or something like that. It is a little bit more fickle of the weapons.
I guess so, yeah. But it's got that. It sort of has the look, the feel. It has that down pat. It's Demolition Derby-ish meets Mad Max meets who knows what's going to happen.
Right.
Woo, let's see what's going to go down, right?
I mean, I think I'll take it a step further, and I want to say one of my least favorite things of the game is the weapons, because I want them to be so much more. Yeah. When you take damage, I don't know if you went over the overview, when you take damage, you're actually shutting down part of your car. And one of the first things I do is shut down is one of those 2 weapon things. So I'm like, I'll just switch it out if I get a different one, or because they're so timing specific.
Right.
That I end up holding on to one for the whole game and not using it, or just not mind switching it out or something like that. So I usually love weapons. I wanted a little bit more from the weapons in this. I wanted them to feel a little more crazy, They're a little mechanical, I think is what it is. And in fact, this game is fairly mechanical. That could be seen as a positive or a negative. The game is not, for how wild and vibrant and explosion of color this game looks, it doesn't necessarily mechanically translate to that. Right,
it can be a slow-paced game. This game can outstay its welcome. An ill-timed bump to your back rear just added 20 minutes to the game, maybe. It can happen. Like, the game can slow down, and sometimes you're like, all right, maybe 3 laps was a long scenario. Maybe we should have just done 2.
Right.
So that's interesting. It's one that you kind of have to play to see if you'll get the this is too mechanical feel, or you'll get the this is wild and kooky feel. Because the pace of it is not that fast.
Right. It's very solidly in the middle of those two.
Right.
It's like you can make an argument for both, so therefore it falls with both. It ends up being, yes, it's wild and kooky, and yes, it's very mechanical.
And can be...
Sometimes.
Could be a little plodding.
I could see it being a little plodding at times, but I also think it's easy to say, hey, instead of 3 laps, we're only going to do 2.
Sure.
Something like that. I think it's easily manipulated.
Some other positive things, though, the modularity in here and the asymmetry are very, very good. The different racers have personality. They both have a look. They have a really cool look. And, all the bits and pieces are sort of color-coded and identify as that thing. But then they have, I showed you in the overview, that you can play with the 3 upgrades that are all the same for everybody. I love that that's in there. But then every racer has their own 3, distinct to them. So you've got your own abilities and sometimes weapons and sometimes things that only you have access to. And I like that a lot.
I really like it a lot. I think it gives a little bit of personality without complicating the game at all.
Right.
It's just a little tweak on rules that you already know. And so I think that was really smoothly implemented.
And then the final thing is this right here that you wanted to talk about.
The player aid. so impressed by this player aid.
Yeah.
I think it's like graphic design wise, it's fantastic that there are 5 phases of the game and it highlights each one. So then the components later have that same highlighting structure on it. So you know just by picking up, well, you talked about the special abilities, each of those highlight exactly what phase you can use it in. It also means that if I don't play this game for a couple weeks or a couple months or something like that, I can pretty well pick it back up and get right back into it just based on the player aid. I think one of the most complicated things in the game is the different types of collisions, whether it's a head-on collision or a side swipe or a smash or the rear end, you know, that kind of stuff. And they all behave a little bit differently, which is right on the back of the player aid. It's also not a card that's going to get bent and lost. It's the same cardboard as all the other components. And so I just like that it's a very well-designed player aid, and it took that step further to make it something that fits smoothly into your gameplay on the board. It's going to last, and it supplements the rule book if you haven't played for a while. In a very, succinct manner. So I don't know. I love the player aid. I don't know why. I was very fixated on that component. When I was learning, I was like, this is all I need.
The game has good graphic design. It has good graphics, good artwork. I love the artwork in it, but it also has really good graphic design. That being one of the things, the iconography being good and clean. The whole thing looks very well put together, and it is, So for me, I'm coming down because, again, I'm docking it a little bit from it because of it feeling a little plodding sometimes, because of it being a slightly slow game, and because sometimes those bums along the way really do feel like, oh, come on, I just crawled out of that corner, and it's going to take me maybe 4 turns to back up this way, that, increase. Okay, I'm out again. That can be a little slow. It can happen. But I really enjoy playing this game. I like all the scenarios, that there is that variety there, the characters. This one's going to get a nice strong 8 from me. I really like it. Absolutely the kind of racing game that I enjoy. Good mechanically, with a fun setting in which to inhabit, to live, to enjoy.
This one caught me off guard how much I liked it. I am coming in at an 8.5 on it. It fits... I think it's going to get compared to a lot of other popular racing games that came out, recently. You're talking Heat and Thunder Road Vendetta. Yeah. And I really think it is right between the two. It doesn't feel as plotting or mechanical as like Heat, for example, for me, but it doesn't feel as just like crazy, throwing spaghetti at the wall kind of and see if it sticks at like Thunder Road Vendetta. It's right in the middle where I do feel like I can plan my turns out. I can get methodical with them, but it does have a little bit of swinging nature. It of course has dice rolling and you can get stuck in a corner, but I love it when those bad turns happen. You can get stuck in a corner and you just crawl out of it, and then you're like, well, hold on. Or I could just go backwards off this line, and then I'm in 4th gear, and I just, I'm that much further ahead of you. Sure. So I find it very flexible, and I love that open nature to it. I think like you were saying, the graphic design is so smooth. I think that there's a lot of thought that went into this game as well, with like the low visibility side of it. So we're talking about production. I think it was a very inclusive decision that they made here, and it's not even just like colorblind or something. It's just like, that's too busy for me. Yes. Sometimes if I'm learning a new character, I want that high contrast, side.
Right. You can flip everything over. I don't think I showed this off. You can flip everything over from that busy side to a very clean side. Even this over here that has your initiative track, you can flip it over to a much cleaner side. If the visual busyness, and it is visually busy, it's vibrant, pops, right? If it's too much. Yeah. I agree.
So I think it was a very thoughtful production, and it's just such a sweet spot for me where I want a racing game that feels kooky, but where I don't just, again, feel like I'm throwing spaghetti at the wall. I can roll some dice and have fun, but really puzzle it out and have a chance just based on strategy. And this is such a sweet spot for me, so it's an 8.5.
Well, there you go, folks. That is Joyride 8.5. That is a seal of excellence from us here at the Dice Tower. Thank you very much for tuning in and checking this one out with us. This is one we've also played live, so if you want to go find that, you can see the game being played. So, all right, thank you very much. My name is Zee Garcia.
And I'm Camilla.
Enjoy the Derby.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you, and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vassell.